Hello. Okay, so this is the last recording of the day. My voice is dying, so bear with me. Okay, so this is the defense strat for Rialto, or at least the first defense strat that I'm coming up with, for Zen especially. And this isn't so much, again, you might have heard this in one of the other videos, it's not so much to like dictate, oh, you're playing this wrong or something like that. It's more just to figure out, okay, here's how my team's going to be positioned and all that sort of stuff, and here's like the best way that I should be positioned so that I can access my team can access me, and you can like work off that synergy. Because a lot of the time we sort of autopilot, not so much that we're utilizing bad positioning or something like that, it's just that there is positioning that would be much better run if we knew what the intentions of our other players were going to be. So, you know, if Arissa's going to be here, our Junkrat is going to be in one of these two places, our Hanzo is going to be in one of these two places, our Diva is going to be up there. Like, knowing that small information like this is pretty damn helpful, right? Just in terms of figuring out where you can put yourself so that you're safe, so that, you know, you're peeled for successfully if there's a flanker that comes along. Yeah, and all that sort of good stuff. Anyway, so Arissa's first shield is going to be placed like here. Probably like a little bit more aggressively, because then as soon as they start getting over the bridge, then she'll start to put it a bit further back. But when you start the round on defense, you want all of these balustrades to be gone. The reason for that is that Arissa's right click, while it normally pulls people through balustrades and stuff like that, it occasionally doesn't, and I still haven't figured out why or how or anything like that. And so, you know, just kill them before the fight starts. And you will probably be in here. The reason you'd be in here, sorry, no, that was right. And the reason you'd be in here is because you can still, like, while your shield is on this position, you can still use the shield. You have access to a health pack. Importantly, a Pharah can't really kill you from that position. So that's what you want. Because a lot of the time, say if your Arissa's here, and yes, you're getting good value here and all that sort of stuff. You know, you've got harmonies on the right people, you've got discords on the right people as well. But there's a Pharah that's just coming above this roof and you're going to get shot on. And she's probably going to get 3 shots off on you, and you're probably going to die, even though it only takes 2, but people are inaccurate, so all that sort of stuff. You want to utilize as much shielding vertically, like from roofing and, you know, next stories as possible. And so this is a really good spot for Zen. You've got cover, you've got access to teammates if you go this way, and you've got access to a health pack. Yeah, and then when they start coming around a bit further, what you might want to do is, you know, sort of give them a peek shot, make sure that you've still got Discord on them, because there's 3 seconds Discord. So if I Discord someone now, peek around 3, like, it might go off them, but you can just reapply Discord if you, that sort of thing. And Harmony will still be there, all that sort of stuff. So you are actually getting value while you're moving positions. Just make sure that you've got a Harmony placed and a Discord placed before you start repositioning yourself. And for the next part, Arissa is going to have her shield probably here, so that she's covering this doorway and also covering a lot of damage from main. And at this point, you want to use this corner as a shield. And the reason you want to use this corner as a shield is because this takes infinite damage, right? At the same time, you're able to see who flankers are and move backwards, or you're able to see who flankers are from here and move closer to your tank, which is not something that people really consider a whole lot. Say, especially a good example would be Koth. If there's a flanker that's coming towards you, say on Nepal Shrine, and you're on the stairs, the rest of your team's on the point. A lot of people's reactions to seeing a tracer is to sort of step backwards. So, okay, so say this is the point. You know, you're on the stairs to Shrine, and there's a tracer that's coming at you. A lot of the time you'll sort of walk away, try and get further distance from the action that's happening in order to get more health, but that's obviously incorrect. A lot of the time you're trying, or what you should be trying to do, is get closer to your tanks. and closer to your teammates that can actually peel for you, or at least give the illusion that they're peeling for you. You know, a tracer is so much less likely. Okay, so here's a scenario. If you are grouped with 5 of your teammates, none of them are aware that you're there, none of them will peel for you at all, but because there are 5 of them there, a tracer isn't going to risk trying to shoot you or trying to get into a position to actually kill you from there. All she can do is sort of like poke from the sidelines until she notices that there's a flaw in your positioning. So you want to get, if you're here and you're utilizing this, someone starts flanking you from one of these 2 doors, or they start coming from, that sort of thing, then you can get closer and that sort of thing. You can get closer to your tank, and then if, I'm sort of thinking that this might be a bit dangerous if you utilize this health pack, because obviously this is an access way that's open to the attacking team. But yeah, this is a really safe spot, especially because if you can tell that a Farah's coming and she's coming from around this building instead of from main, then bam, you're safe. Not necessarily for long, but you can still get damage up on any tanks and that sort of stuff, and still have good sight lines so that you can heal your team and your team can peel for you. You also have a good sight line down here. If they've got a Widow, obviously don't stand out in the middle, but stand more like this. Utilize this balcony cover. This is really, really useful. Yeah, and I think at least for the starting point, the general aim of it's hard to tell. So like G, a lot of the time will say, put Discord on Mercy because she's the highest priority target. I think yes, obviously that's true, but part of the win condition for you at this point, and you're trying every single game, and whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously. I try and do it consciously because it sort of informs my subconscious a little bit. You're trying to identify the win condition and try to get to a point where you can achieve that win condition. So in a lot of situations, the win condition is try to get your ult, your Transcendence, before Grav Dragon from the enemy team becomes a thing, right? So a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll put Discord on tanks. And the reason I put Discord on tanks is because I can mow them down a lot quicker, or at least, put damage into them. It's putting a Discord onto a Rhine makes him more likely to make the wrong decision, just because he's very aware that he's being focused, or at least has the illusion that he's being focused. Like a lot of Zen games with Discord is making someone act differently because you placed a Discord on them, and that's a very real thing. Like their reaction is very real, even if they haven't received any damage, but they're discorded, they've got that purple fuzz on their screens, and that's enough. So then moving through to this particular part, I try and always Discord tanks if there's a pharmacy and they're fluttering between line of sight and not line of sight, then there's no use in putting Discord on pharmacy, right? You want to have sustained long-term damage on someone until they actually die, or until you can get significant value out of it. And a lot of the time the win condition for Zenyatta, especially given Zarya Hanzo is such a overused and overpowered combo, is getting trance. Like, yes, they can damage boost it, and that's just unfortunate, but trance is better than nothing. And so if their Mercy is in a position where you can keep her permanently discorded and you can mow tanks down in the meantime without discording them, then that's great, right? Because you want to damage and heal as much as possible. So a lot of the time at the beginning, I'll put a Harmony Orb on, my main tank or my off tank. A lot of the time D.Va soaks up more damage than a shield tank does because you don't get healing from shields. I'll say, for example, I'll put heals on D.Va, and then I will just let her go about, do her thing. I'll get damage from her. Obviously, if my Mercy gets damaged to like 1 health or something like that, then I'll put an orb on her. And just small stuff like that, it just makes sense. But then I'll put it back on my target that's taking the most damage. And then, you know, if the enemy Mercy is in like a good enough position that I can just keep Discord on her, then I will, and I'll try and mow down the tanks. And getting that damage in and getting that consistent heals in from the D.Va is actually like the win condition that I've identified as getting my trance the quickest, so that I can get it before Grav. If they've got a particularly good Zarya and a particularly good Hanzo, they'll get it before you, and so you're trying to beat them, right? Yeah, and especially in this meta, the reason that so many people run Zenyatta is because they need trance. You know, a Coalescence isn't going to do it. A Mercy ult isn't going to do it unless it's paired with a trance, or a trance sometimes isn't even going to do it unless it's paired with an Ana grenade. So you're sort of fucked, basically, which is why Hanzo is stale. He just ruins it. But anyway, you want to position yourself. Sorry, I went on like a rant, but I'm just angry at Hanzo. Yeah, and so you want to be using this while your Orissa's here, and you've still got maybe a D.Va on the high ground here, and then you've got your DPS, one of your DPS, probably Junkrat, will be on this platform, and he'll be shooting at anyone that's on the inside on the first floor, or he'll be shooting down at main and using those ricochets to hit off the wall, like from his position. He'll be like, bang, and hits it, and then hits their backline or their tanks. Either way, Junkrat's getting value, right? So next point, this is your next position, because you've got access to cover, you've got sight, you've got a line of sight, so that you can scout if they're running a Widow or something like that. Then you go like, oh shit, they're running a Widow, and you can move this way, and suddenly you're safe, at least from the Widow, right? Yeah. So you will want to be, again, just pounding as much damage into targets, calling out discords, all that sort of stuff, but you want to be utilizing this particular area, like that entry and this entry and this wall as cover. And then obviously if your team starts to get up, you know, if you're 6v5 or 6v4, then you can start pushing that forward, and you can still use these boxes as effective. You know, you can't get headshot from here, right? In that doorway, people can't see you. From here, people can't see you. From there, people can't see you. So that's really good. The only thing that you have to worry about is this flank. And so that's why I recommended putting the Junkrat trap here, because it's obvious. You can't step around it. So it means that if someone does want to go through here, they'll have to trigger it. Well, not trigger it, but they'll have to either shoot it, in which case Junkrat will get notified, because he's got that thing on his screen that says, like, you know, destroyed. And then you can be like, oh, okay, well, I'll play here then. Or if you're in a bind, and there's like one person here, but you're still up in the fight, maybe just move here. You know, shield yourself from that person, but keep shooting the remainder of people. And then you, as a team, can deal with this one straggler who, once you've killed these people, is out of position. Okay, so moving back to here, you know, like, Orissa's shield placement is all about utilizing corners, right? So the first shield placement is here. It's a little bit further forward and aggressive, but the reason she's doing that is so that she can just provide more pressure, start contesting the payload from an earlier time, which is what you want. You want to waste their time as much as possible. And then once they get to a certain point, she'll put it here, so that it goes partway across here and then also covers this doorway. And then you'll still be able to utilize that, and she'll still be able to stand here, get the zesty right clicks, and get environmental kills on people. Next corner is here. She'll want to be using that, and then that way you can use that as cover, use this as cover, all that sort of stuff. And if you want to go flanky, then you can. It's a little bit dangerous, but you know, you can read the situation. If you deem it to be safe, then you can. Whereas if you know that they have someone like a McCree that loves to flank, obviously don't do that, and try and stick to your Orisa more. This is the next corner. It's a bit of a weird one, purely because it's in the middle. Like, you'd expect it to be on the right-hand side, because that's where the retreat goes. You know, you'd want your shield to be placed here, for example. But here, you want it to be placed more or less in the middle of the map. And the reason you do that is because you shield from main, yes, but these boxes also provide enough of, like, an immortal shield as it is, or this box in particular. So you can retreat, and this entire... Wait, he started spectating. Oh, no, he just left. Okay, bye. And so where was I? Yeah, so if you've got the shield here, it shields partially from this, and then you can sort of utilize this area. But the perk of you playing Zen, well, not the perk, it's the con of you playing Zen, is that if they have a Pharah, it's really fucking hard to kill a Pharah, right? A Zen. You know, playing a projectile character, even playing Genji, being in close range with a Pharah is relatively hard, because she's still got Conk, she's still got her jump pack. Like, it's a lot harder to do than it seems. And so a lot of the time, something that's really useful, especially if they're running Pharmacy, is just putting a Discord on the highest priority target, which is it's Mercy primarily, but then, you know, Pharah, and letting your hit scan or Hanzo deal with it, because his projectile speed's a lot quicker, so he'll be a bit more reliable. But then in the meantime, keep shooting at the tanks and all that sort of stuff. And the best sort of retreat that I've found is utilizing this, because you've got a full 250 health pack, and that's really helpful. And you can still shoot people here, and you're cutting off lines of sight. No one's really going to be flanking around this area because it takes way too long. And it's really good for you. You can get sights on here, sights on here, sights on here. So this doorway is ridiculously good for you. You can get the health pack, you can rejoin your team, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so say we're fighting on the point now. As Zen, this is a good spot. And the reason I say this is because you have a shield from here. No one can really snipe you unless a Widow does like a grapple shot, in which case that's her loss, because she's either killed you or she's wasted a cooldown for nothing. You can get heals on your D.Va, who's going to be up here. Maybe your Hanzo or your Junkrat's going to be up here as well. Or, actually, I think just D.Va will be here. Your 2 DPS will be here, and they'll be probably utilizing a crossfire. And then your Orisa is going to be on point. And the perk of you being here is that most of your body is not within sight. So you can still... Like, that's so useful. You can still get harmonies on people above ground and on the lower ground. You can still scout, because this is glass, you can still see through it. You can scout who's coming around and all that sort of stuff. You can alert your team. This is a really good recon position for securing any flanks, also from this flank as well. Okay, say you get pushed back a little bit more. Orisa's going to have her shield here, right? She's going to have it on the right side, because you, as Zen, are going to be here. And the shield on the left side won't do anything other than shield from this and this hole, this window. So having it on the right side shields you from these two and the main entry, which is really good, because it means that like any sort of stray damage that comes your way, or, you know, most people will stay roughly on the payload, because we're in plat and positioning isn't much of a thing. But I'm trying with these videos to negate that and try and make people aware that positioning is something that's useful. So as Zen, you want to be here. The reason why: you can scout if that doorway is getting absolutely handed on but with damage. You can scout, you've got access to a health pack, and this is cover. Like, you can't shoot through this glass. If you're Orisa, and the reason she'll be here is because she'll be taking aggro relatively close. She'll be able to right-click people into the canal, and then after that she'll be able to sort of work her way backwards. And I wouldn't recommend that anyone else works their way backwards this way. Probably just Orisa, only because yes, she's a tank, she takes more damage, but also as Zen, if you're going along here and they've got like a sniper, you're like walking along a straight line and they can just sort of track you really easily and shoot you. So as Zen, what you would more likely be doing is, you know, say if the payload's on the bridge, shooting on the bridge, all that sort of stuff, you're fighting, and they start progressing forwards, and then bam, you're already in position again. Depending on where your shield is, it's probably going to be on this. It's probably going to be on this corner here. In which case you stay close up to your tanks, or what you can do is you can probably try and get some damage in, but it's probably not as meaningful. You can be here, and then you'd probably have a DPS watching out, or you've got a DPS here, probably a Junkrat here, so that he can like secure these spaces and shoot out this window. And then when you're here, they can sort of scout that out for you. So Hanzo, he'll be peeking out of these windows, this window, that window, Junkrat's probably going to be poking out of this window, and then Devo is going to be sort of flying all about the place. Your Orisa's going to be here, Mercy's going to be flying about healing everyone. And so you as Zen, it's a fairly straightforward positioning, but this is a good one for you because you can just discord one person, shoot, 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 and it's like, it's again, just a really flat lane. Plus, the only thing you'd have to worry about if you're like here and trying to get a good position is that people might shoot you from here, which, i.e., snipers or flankers. If you know, if Genji jumps across because he's got double jump, or if Tracer blinks across because she is stupidly mobile, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, moving to the next part. For this part, for this leg, let's call it, gonna have D.Va here, gonna have Junkrat here. The Orisa shield is gonna go about here. And the reason like the Orisa shield's going to go here is because it'll protect you potentially from some damage if someone actually successfully gets to this doorway, which hopefully they won't because we have a DPS and tank there. And then it also shields you from this one, and maybe this one if they're, you know, being utilitarian of all of the entryways. And so as Zen, something that's really useful for you is utilizing these spaces. Because there's a shield here, you can still get orbs off onto people, and at the same time, you'll still be able to just absolutely punish anyone that's down this lane, and the only time that they'll be able to punish you is if your shield's down. If someone decides to like start flanking, then you can just be like, oh, okay. Yeah, and so you want to be essentially shooting down this area. And this is a really good spot for you because you've still got line of sight onto tank here, tank there, DPS here. And then once they start sort of making their way around the corner, you'll be using Orisa as your body shield. She'll be like out in front of you, and then you can be like in here, tubing people from that side. And the good thing about that is that you've got cover in this bookcase, this wall, can shoot people down this really good line of sight. Anyone here that's flanking. And also, if you need to change your position, then you can stand here and you can shoot people through here. A good thing about Discord is that you can see people, wait, where is he? You can see people behind a wall for 3 seconds, you know? And so you'll be able to utilize that. What's he saying? How irritating. And so you'll be able to utilize that, and then your Orisa is going to have to be body blocking on the point. And so she'll be body blocking on the point. You'll probably have a D.Va or a Hanzo here, and then you'll have... Stop! And then you'll have your Mercy around here. You'll be utilizing this high ground, and you'll try and use verticality as much as possible. Where did that go? That went down. You'll be trying to utilize this as much as possible. God, he's irritating. Yeah, and so once it pushes back, you'll be here, right? So your Orisa's going to have a shield here. Junkrat is going to be utilizing these arcades because this is his space. I know I harp on about that a lot. But the aim is for you to retreat to here. And the reason you can retreat to here is because if they have a flanker here, just go here. Easy. And then you can retreat to your team if necessary, retreat further back into your team if necessary. If someone's being an absolute idiot and flanking full out here, you can like discord them and start shooting them out here. That's good. Oh dear. And then you can also help your Junkrat, and you're really at a good sort of point where you can get help from everyone on your team. You can help your Orisa. If someone gets grabbed, then you can access them. If they get grabbed here, access them, grabbed here, access them, grabbed here, access them. It's easy. And so I say haha, but that wasn't funny. Anyway, moving on because I've only got 4 minutes and 15 seconds left. Thank you. Yeah, and so at this stage you'll be utilizing this space. I'm sort of thinking that for some cases an honor might actually be really useful, but then again it just sort of depends on your proficiency with honor. Like you make the personal call if you know if you think it'd be more effective. With this particular part, the positioning is that Junkrat is going to be trying to claim this space in this room, and preferably these galleries as well, which is a bit harder, but you know he can contest that. And then having Hanzo or Soldier or McCree or whoever it's going to be on this room and sort of peeking through here, and then once they sort of get around the corner and they start having the payload around here, then obviously he'll have to retreat because that's sort of out of position. So then he'll sort of go to here, contest this spot, still shoot from me. Yeah, and so you can shoot through here, all that sort of stuff. And the reason I was saying honor is because if they're running a widow or something like that, then you can more or less like use the terrain and the columns and all that sort of stuff. Huh? Oh, right. This. Okay. Right. So you basically like, and the reason I was thinking maybe moving to Ana is that she has like really, really distant heals, which is a really good thing. It means that if your team gets grabbed, then you'll be able to use Ana nade. It means that, you know, if you find an opportunity to use an offensive Ana nade, which is preferable, then we'll be able to kill them a lot easier. Yeah, and so having this, like this sort of spot, even a Zen, you know, this spot for Zen might be a little bit more preferable because you can sort of avoid lines of sight. But yeah, you basically just be like brawling. At the point we're trying to have main tanks, one DPS who's supported here, that'll be a Junkrat, and then maybe our other DPS here, and the idea is that we have a crossfire and make it hard for them to split their attention up. And yeah, and that's it. That's Zen.